If you're watching this from a shelter tonight, sitting on a cot with strangers around you, wearing clothes from a donated bag, I want you to stay with me for just a few minutes. Maybe you lost your house. Maybe you lost almost everything inside it. Worries are racing around in your mind. And right now you may be wondering, how am I ever going to get my life back together? I can't replace what you've lost. Nana Ann can't give your house back to you, but I can sit here with you for a few minutes and remind you of something important. Your life is not over. Your story is not over. And you do not have to figure out your whole future tonight. Just breathe. You're here. You survived. And there is still a tomorrow. Why is this dilemma close to my heart? Jean and I retired to North Idaho some years ago from Sonoma County, California, where we raised our family. Our sons still live there in Santa Rosa. That day, I was flying from Idaho to California to arrange the flowers and bouquets for the wedding of a dear friend's daughter. While I was traveling, something terrible happened. On a mid-flight layover, I got a phone call. My friend's anxious voice cried, "Go back to Idaho. Santa Rosa is on fire. The venue has burned down." Our former hometown was a fiery furnace. Moments later, my son called, "Mom, the flowers for the wedding have been delivered to our patio, but we have to evacuate. We can see the burning hills about 2 miles away." Then he hung up. The flowers were sitting there waiting to be arranged. And suddenly, nobody was thinking about the wedding. We were thinking about safety. Thankfully, my son's home survived, but many of our friends weren't so fortunate. Our home was hundreds of miles away in North Idaho, where it still is. But our hearts were back in Santa Rosa with our family and friends. I have a daughter there as well. I didn't lose my home. I don't pretend I know what it feels like. But people I loved lost theirs, lost everything. I remember thinking about the buckets of wilting flowers in his patio. Later, I heard from our close friends who returned to their house to find the entire neighborhood leveled, except the one house next door to theirs, which the fire jumped over completely and didn't even burn a single bush. My friend's house was partially damaged, but because a man on a bicycle, they later heard, had taken the time to pick up a hose and spray their house repeatedly with water while the neighborhood burned, theirs was only damaged. I listened as my friends struggled with the shock, the grief, and the question, what do I do now? So today, I'm going to sit here and grieve with you who are experiencing these losses in the inland Northwest and share with you some wisdom from my women friends who journeyed through this same journey a few years ago. Hope is needed, but believe me, hope doesn't come all at once after something like this. It comes in little tiny pieces. We need unhurried space to process. We need permission to hurt when these things happen. Right now, you don't have to rebuild anything. There is so much to think about, but tonight, perhaps your job is simply to get through the night. Jesus said, "Do not worry about tomorrow." Not because tomorrow doesn't matter, but because today is what you've been given. So drink some water, Let somebody bring you a bank blanket and give you a meal. You don't have to be strong every minute. And please, don't be ashamed of needing people. Perhaps you have always been the one helping others, like me, and now suddenly you become the one receiving help, and that is humbling. But there's something beautiful about it too. Someone you don't know hands you a coat. Someone else asks, "What can I do?" That isn't pity, that's humanity. That's love showing up. And someday, when you're standing on steadier ground, you may be the person who does that for someone else. So just say thank you. Look up for one tiny good thing. I know you may be thinking, Nana Ann, you don't know what I'm going through. I've lost everything. I know. I'm not suggesting that you pretend it's good. Just look for one tiny thing that's still good in the midst of this disaster. Maybe somebody hugged you, gave you a cup of coffee. Start there. Gratitude doesn't mean we're grateful for the fire. It means we're noticing that the fire didn't take everything. And sometimes that tiny distinction is where hope begins. Your life is bigger than what you lost. Your possessions mattered, especially those lost photos. Your home mattered, but you are still here. Your ability to love is still here. Your ability to make new memories is still here. And little by little, there will be new things. Not replacements for what you lost, new things, new reasons to smile. You may not believe that yet. That's okay. You don't have to believe it today. Borrow someone else's hope for a little while. Borrow mine. Here's a promise for you to hold on to tonight. Psalm 34 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted." If your heart is broken tonight, God is not far away, and neither are you forgotten. You may be sleeping in a strange place tonight, but you are not invisible, and your story is not finished. Lord, I don't know the name of this person watching right now, but you do. You know what they lost. You know what they are afraid of. You you know how tired they are. Please give them enough strength for tonight. Put kind people around them. Give them a safe place to rest. And somehow, in the middle of all this loss, let them catch one tiny glimpse of hope. Remind them they are still here, they are still loved, and their story is not over. If you're watching this and thinking, okay, Nana Ann, that's all good, but what do I actually do now? That's what we'll talk about in the next video, one step at a time. Leave your questions and your stories below. And if you found this helpful, share this post with others struggling with loss, and watch for our next one.